Liftoff and the clock has started.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Vobie One-Eyed Kenobi Showbie with me, Richard Vobes. Just making sure that the sound is working and the vision is here. Yes, it does look like it is. That's marvellous. Fantastic. Welcome on the 5th of November to a firework-free show, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of those friendly shows that little animals can come out and go, what, no fireworks? Yes. No big bangs, no whizzy effects, no graphics, none of that. They've all taken the day off to go and stare at the sky. The thing is, you see, I remember that book. Do you remember that book by John Wyndham? They made a very good film. The Day of the Triffids came out in the 60s, I believe, or late 50s, something like that. Anyway, it starts off with everybody looking up at the sky at this wonderful planetary display of bright lights. Following morning, they're all blind and the Triffids are after them. Yes, well, I did that once. I used to do fire displays and various things on Bonfire night. And, years later, look what happened to me. Lost one of my eyes. Let that be a lesson to you. Indeed. If you start looking at all these fireworks and taking all these bangs in, you too could have something deficient with you. Or at some stage in your life, it may be withdrawn. So that's something to look forward to, isn't it? I've often been withdrawn, usually from the public gaze, because when I was a kid I was an ugly little sod, and my mother used to put me in a cage and then put a blanket over the cage and then lower the cage into a swamp and then make sure that the swamp had lead lining around it. It's very, very worrying what parents do to their children and the influence that it has. And by golly, it did have a big influence on me. Made my hair fall out. So there's the story of that. You don't get that on the BBC, do you? You don't get that on other YouTube channels, but you do get it on the Vobe show, and you're very, very welcome to this madcap sort of nonsense, of which 99.9% of it is certainly untrue. But there we are. At least I tell you the truth about the untruth. Or have I just made that bit up too? Who knows? Anyway, answers on a postcard and put them in a box somewhere. Never send them because I don't want to read them. Anyway, in the live chat area, we do have a number of people making comments using usually their fingers on a keyboard or possibly a finger on a screen, or maybe that they talk to the screen and tell it things. That would be quite confusing, I imagine, especially if Electra is listening. Don't forget, Electra, order more cans of baked beans. There we go. Lord Jeffrey now will be inundated with 57 varieties of baked beans, all in one single can. And they all taste the same, like most of the stuff that comes in a can. Anyway, it's very nice to see you. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope it's been a good show for you. Give us a thumbs up if you haven't enjoyed it, which is probably means that I will get even more thumbs up, which is marvellous. We don't have as many people in tonight because most people are out celebrating the horrible, torturous death of Guy Fawkes. So all he was trying to do was blow up the Houses of Parliament. And the irony is they blew him up. Oh, well, there we are. What do you do? Anyway, it's very nice to see you. Thank you very much. We have one film, A Moment of Murphy, from Andrew Murphy, who goes in search of the Fawley Power Station, which I don't know where that is. Fawley? I thought that was in Crawley, but apparently it's at the back of the sea. Is it on the Isle of Iddle of Whittle? Is it? Anyway, he sent me a video in which he single-handedly knocks it down. Yes, he gets a little sledgehammer. He calls it a geologist's hammer, and over the last 300 years he's been slowly tapping away, and it's now gone. No longer there, which he manages to capture the last image of it, and we will see that in tonight's show, so be prepared for something stunning. That's the only video in, so the rest of it is down to me and you, or you and me. Me and you and me. Who gives a monkeys who it's going to be? So you can give us a call on 0793 479... what is it? 4793 804 662 104388. The other number, of course, is on the screen, and it's a very nice number, and you can always give it a ring. Oh, we used to have a little thingamajig that used to do that, didn't we? But it's no longer there. I'm sorry, I've removed it for the moment. So sorry about that. Anyway, Kerry Baldwin is laughing her socks off, which is great. Michael White is saying good evening. Mr. Mockey's got technophobia is rife. Yes, oh good. Bonnie H has no problem. And Station Master's Choice says Electra was an electric loco on the old Manchester to Sheffield line via Woodhead, wherever Woodhead is. Is Woodhead next to Woodbine? That would be interesting to know. Well, maybe it wouldn't. And Kerry Baldwin is excited for our moment of Murphy. Rachel is out there. TLG has deleted it, which is a shame. And Donnie, if not Bonnie, who's now become Donnie for some mad reason that my eye is slightly blurry today, says that I was darning socks. I've been darning socks all my life. I get up in the morning and I look for them and I go, darn those socks. This is one and this is an odd one. The other day I woke up, I had two ones which had a red bit on the end, so I knew that they were a pair, except one was thin and well used and the other one was relatively new, probably in the last decade, and was a little bit thicker. And I thought, well, these are two similar socks. Slightly one is smaller and perhaps more like a dishcloth, and the other one is a bit fuller in character, but come from the same company, probably off the same manufacturing machine. You know, one of those wool machines. My mum had one of those wool making machines, knitting machine. You go like this. And then one day, excuse me, she invented the shuttle. And she thought, this is great, I'll put it in an envelope and post it back in time to the Industrial Revolution, which might help with a little bit of the speeding up process of knitting. Well, go forward a few hundred years, and suddenly a little girl over there in the Netherlands somewhere has decided that, all of this is blah, blah, blah. That's what the Doom Goblin reckons. I wonder when they christened her, did they say, what is the name of your child? I christen this child Doom Goblin. Did they do that? Because now she's not so much the Doom Goblin. She's certainly goblined up all her pious stuff. Have you seen her? She's swearing and blinding with the best. She's 18 now, isn't she? She's 18. So I have a sneaky feeling that, I don't think she's actually been to school since she was 15. So all of her knowledge of the world has been sort of secured. So she's a bit like somebody who's left school at 15, didn't do very well at school probably, because that's why she's doing all the protesting thing. And she's now, all she knows about that. But if you asked her, where's she from? Denmark, Sweden, Denmark, one of those weird countries, nice countries, but weird, where you dress your kids up in little ringlets and make out that they're from Annie of Green Gables from 1952, whenever Annie of Green Gables came out, that sort of thing. And they've made her look a bit like that and sent her off skipping to school thinking that she was an ordinary girl with a touch of little whatever mental brain condition it is, climate change mentalness condition. Apparently that's the thing that everybody's talking about. It. If you get it too bad, you start sellotaping yourself, if only it was sellotape, to motorways. But I would like them to actually, that insulate lot, I'd like them to glue themselves to rail lines. I think it'd be much more interesting if they were to glue themselves to the railway lines. Not the middle rail, I wouldn't want them to get hurt or anything, but if the Flying Scotsman came hurtling down, I'd like them to be sitting there, all of them, all glued to this thing with their ears on there, listening. Oh, we can hear it, it's coming, they'll have to put the brakes on at some point. Yeah, 20 miles down the line, when the brakes actually have been effectively working and stopped the train, the carnage would be fascinating to watch, because it would match a bit of their posters, because half their poster I think is in red, the other is in blue. Yeah, so they wouldn't need any insulation, would they? I don't know if you noticed, there was a clip the other day, it made me laugh, I have to say. They were there on the road, sitting there proudly with their Insulate Britain, and they were preventing a lorry that had a whole load of insulating stuff from getting to its destination to insulate Britain. So it seemed that they'd actually shot themselves in the foot there. Yeah, and they're always talking. Have you seen it? They're always talking about, they come on these television programs and the people ask them the same old questions. Why are you sitting it? Would it not be better not to sit and blah, blah, blah? Same old questions. And they come out and say, oh, yeah, but we're doing it for our children and the future's children, your children. We want your children to be happy. And I just think, well, you don't seem to be very happy with all the children that are actually here and now. Never mind the children of the future who have yet to materialise, possibly never been born, because the people on the roads going to the secret rendezvous that they were going to, having their little holidays and going up to the lift to number 5 and having a little bit of how's your father, manufacturing a child. Well, because they couldn't get there, because they were stuck in all the traffic, they obviously couldn't get there, and so therefore that child has not materialised. So actually, in a way, you could say that this Insulate Britain is depopulating Britain, because it's stopping certain people from making rendezvous, which may have... You think of all the little... Either the romances that could well have blossomed from the delivery driver turning up at some corporate thing and only the little girl, secretary, not little girl, it's a derogatory term, the secretary there in her fishnet tights and stiletto heels letting him in, going, hello, you're a handsome young man, you're a very pretty young lady, I've got this parcel for somebody up the top there. Oh, don't worry about that, I've got the keys to the chairman's bathroom, let's nip in there for a bit of how's your father. He's very well, thank you. Very kind of you to ask. Oh, looks like I'm pregnant. Oh, I forgot to take the pill. I forgot to take a contraceptive. Oh, well, we got a baby on its way. Oh, no, we haven't got a baby on its way, because this meeting never happened, because Insulate Britain, the sellotape there. So I think if they sellotape themselves to the rail lines, it would be so much easier and over so much quicker. We would get all this nonsense. I mean, we're going to look back, aren't we, and think, well, these bunch of people, what a load of nonsense it is. Because it is a bit of a cult. You do understand that, don't you? They are very cult-like. They've been brainwashed, and that we have to accept their idea of what the future is. And if if we do something about what their idea of the future is, they'll stop sitting on the roads. Well, that's blackmail, isn't it? It is absolutely blackmail. We have to accept that what they say in the future is going to happen. I don't accept it. Maybe the government doesn't accept it. But I think it's an absolute load of old tosh, what they say. But the thing is, it's on their terms. They won't compromise a bit and go, well, you know, we believe this is going to happen. I mean, it's like those people who felt that the world was going to end somewhere in America, didn't it? And in the end, they set fire to themselves in, what was it, Wacko? They were wacko, all right. But you get these cults, these people, they believe this one thing, and nothing, they can't move from this one thing. I don't understand it. They can't, there's no compromise. It's like this or nothing. And you go, well, why don't you look at it from this point of view? Because you've got no actual proof. You've got people predicting with computers. But let's face it, we didn't have computers some 60, 50, 100 years ago. So we couldn't have done that prediction. So you would have just had blind faith. And look why blind faith has got a lot of people. So, you know, they're just looking at computer models and going, oh, well, 2%, we're all going to burn and sizzle. And they have this doomsday thing, which is just abhorrent to listen to them going on about it. But you can't question them and say, well, maybe you've got that bit wrong. No, we haven't got that, because they can't have that bit wrong, because everything else tumbles away if they have. If they're wrong, the sitting on the road just looks like absolutely stupid behaviour. Do you know what? It does look like stupid behaviour. It really does. 0793 4746 790 if you want to stop me from talking incessantly about absolutely nothing that I know of. Let's find out what people are talking about. Kerry Baldwin says that she's worked by somebody. Michael White says if they did, at least they would keep track of them. That's if they knew which one they were going on, that would be good. Ray of Hope says, sorry, but I've tried to play a Buddy Holly track but failed miserably to make a video today. Ray, it's such a shame, because we do like Friday night is music night, but don't worry, take the Friday off, have the weekend to relax, chill out, and chop some more logs down for yours. No, you don't have to chop more logs down. But no, take it easy. We appreciate everything you do. We love it. We really love it. And it was lovely to come and meet you, as you know. Station Master's Choice says, Greta's behaviour this week has taken away all the credibility that she might have had. Well, it's true, except I would argue that it just goes to show that at one time she was this weirdo creature that had been as puppeted by parents and other people, but now she's actually turning into a teenager, into an ordinary person. And what that means is that we don't have to take her seriously anymore. She's no longer this weird godlike princess that we've all given her. She's just like any other ordinary, boring, over-the-top, loudmouth teenager who has yet to find out what the real world is about. And because of that, we can ignore her. She's no longer got the ringlets. Her hair is a little bit limp. She's dressing a little bit more trendy and just blends in, could be anybody. And when she puts her mask on, well, she pretty much disappears. And that, of course, is a good thing. Bonnie says, I got my first computer, a BBC with a tape recorder, in 1981. That's not unusual. I think a lot of people got their first computers, those things, in around about that time. I'd be more worried if you said that I got my first computer, a BBC thing with a tape in it, in 2021. Now, then I would be worried, because you'd made a massive leap backwards from your super duper iPhone with the static, almost impossible to understand how they do it, synchronizated thing that guidance, what is it, the thing that stabilization, thank you very much for keeping it still, and then gone to this massive great big BBC. Did you have to go up to Wood Lane to get it? I think that's where they were selling them out the back in the old days, you know, great big things like that whirring round, big, a bit like my Revox over there, only in big consoles. Daniel Watkins is out there saying hello, Bonnie, and Joanna Jones is saying hi, Daniel, a lot of hi and all of that. Bonnie's got some socks on display, and Michael White has dropped an N. I no idea what that is. Mark Burgess said he had a Commodore 64. Well, Commodore 64 is always good. Now, Mark Burgess sent in an email of his tree. I just wanted to show you this. I don't think, he said it's a pine tree, but I don't think this is a pine tree. Let me just see if I can find your email. Tree pictures. I hope you don't mind me showing these pictures of your tree. This is the tree. Here it comes. Have a look at this. This is the tree that he has had some people who came in and said, we'll knock that tree down for you. I have no problem about that. We'll chop it down. And then they lopped off, I think, a few branches and then skipped it. And now, I don't know if those leaves are connected to the tree. It looks like either that's a tree with no branches and it's engulfed by some weird hedge thing, or it's a tree and those are the leaves that are coming out of it. But he says it's a pine tree. It doesn't look like a pine tree. And why would you have a pine tree in the front of what looks to me like 1960s housing estate? I'm a bit suspicious about that. Let's have another angle on that picture whilst I have a slurp of tea. Nobody heard that, luckily. So I'm not quite sure what the situation here, but that doesn't. Now, maybe somebody can tell me, is it a pine tree or is it something else? I'd be interested to know. There we are. Look, that's the base of it. And then there's the other stuff looks like laurel. Is that laurel that's growing all around it? That's not part of the tree, surely. But maybe it is. Anybody got any ideas what that tree might be? Richard Vobes for Prime Minister, says Seabird. You'd do a much better job than the clown we have now. Well, that's very kind of you to say so. I'm not sure I would... oh, hello, steady. I don't want the wallpaper. I don't want the responsibility of choosing the wrong kind of wallpaper, because if I was Prime Minister, do you know what I'd do? I would probably get rid of all the trappings in there and have something very... I'd have my Essie. That would be the one thing. You know, apparently they have... The Prime Minister has £25,000 every year to decorate the flat. £25,000. I could probably decorate it for £5,000. You know, I might not buy second-hand furniture. Although, wouldn't that make it a very good statement? I've always thought. Here's a funny thing. I've always thought that businesses should never buy anything brand new. You know, you go into these plush offices and they're trying to promote how wonderful, successful and all the rest of it. And they've got these plate glass windows and this, that and the other. And they've got everything modern and all of these things. And it's new big atriums and this marble. I think that's all wrong, personally. I think that they should be getting their stuff second-hand. I don't think it should be dirty or grubby, but clean. There'll be plenty of good second-hand stuff. And because what you're saying is we make so much money from you, the customer, that we can afford this. And you think, well, wait a minute. If you didn't spend all that money on this big glass building, on this marble floor, these great big desks and 500 members of the security thing and big flashing lights and gold chains and all of this. If you didn't spend all that money, you could either save... The customer could cut whatever the price is of your product or service is, for one thing, or you could give your employees, particularly the ones down nearest the ground, the ones who are doing actually the work, a bit more money. So if you didn't spend it on this, you could actually spend it on the workforce. Nothing would change because the building is just the building, especially as we came into COVID when everybody was sent home and you didn't even need the building. So that's what I think. Sometimes these companies shoot themselves in the foot, but I'd be interested in your thoughts, of course. 0793 4746 790 is the telephone number. This is a show in which you can actually ring in and contribute, by the way, using your own money, because I can't afford to foot the bill. Rachel says, my first computer was an Amstrad with a green screen. Well, you see, you're all right there. You're on Greta's hit list for being good. Having a green screen, that's all in, isn't it? And a cassette tape, which took about half an hour or even an hour to load a single game. That was Rachel, yeah. In those days, we had Patience, didn't we? You could actually play Patience while you were waiting for the valves to warm up on your Commodore 64 or Amstrad. Joanna Jones says, but you'd be able to get a sofa through number 10. I would be able to get a sofa through number 10, probably, absolutely. And the leather one that I was after. That's true. Thank you very much for that point. It would be good. Mark Burgess says the bush next to it grows red berries, and I often use them in Christmas decorations. Oh, I see. But the question is it really a pine? Did anyone get to the bottom of that? I'm not quite sure. By the way, lots of people are typing. I'm talking 10 to the dozen. So if you need my attention, do what Mr. Mocky has just done, where he says we couldn't get a word in by putting at the Vobe Show. If you put at the Vobe Show, then it will actually highlight on my screen and I'll be able to see your comment. If you don't do that, it disappears with all the rest of the stuff. Ron Langley. Hello, Ron. How are you doing? I must get over to see you over there in the other side of Bognor Regis, in that funny little town that you're in, which I can't bring to mind, which will come to me. Aldwick. There we go. It came to me in the end. Just keep speaking and nobody knows any difference. Ron Langley says, don't think any other government could have done better. Could have done better with what? In the COVID thing, well, certainly old Captain Hindsight couldn't have done any better. Although actually, if he was in government, I don't think he would have managed to make any decisions because there was nobody to be in hindsight of, and I think he would just be sitting on the fence, still dithering. I don't know. I think he is a bit of a ditherer. Colonel Craig Ratty says he's talking about be just a guess. Check out the selling sites. It may be... I don't know what he's talking about. Mocky says he couldn't get a word in. Bonnie says stock photo question mark. I don't know what that means. Stock photo question mark. What are you on about? You need to a little bit more in there would help. Lynn B, you see what you don't understand. I'm going to risk this and see if this works. You see what you may or may not understand is here we are. Look, there's the screen I see, and that goes up all the time. It's not, of course, it's not going up now, but it does go up all the time. There's the camera. Look, I'm looking at the camera there, and that's the screen there that I'm reading. You can see how it's highlighted. That's where I see it. The rest. And I'll just look at that. Oh, blimey, it's all tickety-boo here, isn't it? Hang on, there we go. So you need to put that bit more in the sentence, because otherwise I have no idea what you're talking about. Stock photo. Lynn says it's not a pine. No, well, it's been a pain. It's not a pine. So there we go. What else? Mark Burgess, you might be able to see the pine tree on Street View. Ah, right. But I don't think that's a pine, judging by the bark. That's the thing. I think you're barking up the wrong tree. Tall Podge Rog, lovely to hear from you. Thank you very much for typing. He says, thank you for the biblical notebook link. Love the notebook, using it full on. Brilliant. Mine is downstairs, actually. I don't use mine as much as I originally thought. I end up putting bits on all sorts of... But I do want to keep using it. I do put notes in it, but it is a fantastic... It's a handy little thing. It looks like a black Bible, so you can walk down the street and whack people over the head. They won't whack you back because they think that you're a man of the cloth. But it's not actually. It's just Bible shape with thinnish pages in it. Colonel Greg was talking to Ray of Hope. There we go. Alison O'Brien says, how's the sofa you bought? Now, that is a very good question. Merlin, magical Merlin, he threw over my hedge. I haven't got a hedge. What are you talking about? My fence. Oh, excuse me, that tea went down the wrong hole. Went down the nostril. Not that you saw me drink it. I'm going to have another slurp. Hang on a minute. Oh, there was silence then for a second. Did you notice there was just a moment of not dead air, as we call it in the trade? Yeah, Merlin threw over a couple of sheets of foam. I don't know where he got them from, but they were absolutely the perfect size. So I've shoved them underneath the cushions. But also, you know that stuff, laminate, that you put the flooring on? They're long sheets of laminate. They're about 8 inches wide by about a metre in length. Laminate flooring, and you clip them together and you put them on the floor. Well, actually, because they're quite thin, but they're made of some resin things, they're flexible. They bend in the middle, so they're not totally rigid, but they're sort of partly rigid. So I put 2 of those where the springs are, because I think the springs have gone, and I think the cushions are just a bit worn by people's putting their bottoms on it. So I bunged the laminate flooring on, and then I put the foam on top of that and the cushions on top of that, and when you sit down now, yeah, you brush your head on the ceiling. You're that high. No, you're not really. It's a lot more comfortable. I just need to find a way of disguising the foam, because you can see the foam at the moment. Not that you're foaming at the mouth. So there we go. Ron Langley says, when you coming round? When somebody knocks me out and then I wake up. Mr. Mocky says, not sure about Captain Hindsight. Captain Cockup often visits. Yes, that's a good one too. Michael White says, I would pine if someone cut my branches off. Yes, I'm sure you would. Keep using it, Richard. It's a really nice notebook. It is a very nice notebook, actually. Robert Maudsley, hello to them. He says, sock it to them, which is good. Bonnie says, I've given up. The sock moment has gone, and she's crying. I don't know what are you talking about? Sock? I mean, we've done the socks. Calf for Joy, Crafty for Joey. I can't read your name. Cray for Joey. What does that name even mean? I'm not very good at reading names that are not basically English. Hi, Richard, he says, or she. If you had to move to another county, which county would you move to? Now, that is a fascinating question, and maybe I could turn the table and ask you the same thing. Which county are you in, and where would you go, and why? West Sussex is becoming incredibly populated, I think. It's got some lovely things in it, but it is very overpopulated. I was driving around in East Sussex, which is the other half of Sussex, obviously, which seemed a lot less populated. And it's amazing how different that county is in terms of the valleys and the ridges and things as you get over towards Tunbridge Wells and that sort of thing. By the way, Tuesday, got a video with Ringer Ollie. You'll be pleased to know. Filmed that today. But where would I go? I spent about 10 years toing and froing every other weekend up to Shropshire. Very lovely county, very quiet. One motorway, the M54. That's it. But a bit slow on the roads if you want to get anywhere. The only thing about Shropshire, and some very nice hills. You've got the Langley, the Langley. That's not right, is it? The Lawley, beg your pardon. The Lawley, and you've got the Wrekin, of course. But you've also got the other one. The third one? You've got oh blimey, the Long Mynd. You've got the Long Mynd range of hills, which are absolutely lovely. You've got the Long Mountain just at the far end of that as you sort of head towards Wales. And then you've got the and I said the Wrekin, good game, cuddly toy. Yeah, all right, you've got the cuddly toy. You've got the Lawley. We've got the one where Caractacus is supposed to, or what was his name? Not Caractacus. His name is not Caractacus. It's is it Caractacus? No, it's the other one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's on that hill that's there, and I've been up it many times, and it's a big steepy. Anyway, you've got that hill, which name is now, because I'm live on the air and nobody is here to prompt me, not even Eric up there in the thing. That's right, sir. Not even he is able to prompt me. I can't remember what the sodding name is of this stupid hill, but it doesn't matter. But I'd like to now know what it is. Anyway, there's all of that. The only thing is that the villages are very different up there. They're not like down here where you get a number of villages, perhaps with a village green and the houses around the village green and the village pond. Very different, weird. That the villages there, because it's very farmy land, farming being the biggest thing there, and still is to a certain degree. You've got houses, villages rather, that are strung out along roads, and houses that are separated and further back. And you do have Ryton 11 towns. That's another place. Is that the one? Oh no, there's a lovely village called Knockin in Shropshire, just north of Shrewsbury. Knockin, just off the A5 it is, and they have a shop there, the Knockin shop. You can get all sorts of stuff in that one, and I'll leave you to work that bit out. Clee Hills, yeah, you've got the Clee Hills. There's a lovely quarry up there in the Clee Hills. Caer Caradoc, thank you very much. That's the one I was thinking of, Caer Caradoc. And there's another, funny enough, Caer Caradoc, and the old, not Spartacus, it is the Caractacus, but there's another name for Caractacus, isn't there, which I think is the proper name, rather than the King of Caractacus that Rolf Harris, wobbleboard and paedophilia stuff comes to mind. But there's another name for it. Anyway, there's another hill, Hill Fort, about 30 miles south of that. You can just about see it, where he is one of the last English chaps, well, you know, ancient Britons, if you like, from the Cantaviloni. Is it the Cantaviloni? Cantaviluni? I don't know, can't remember. Or this, anyway, whatever. And he came up from the south, went up to the Caer Caradoc, and the Romans came and set up their Wroxeter town and all of that, and he was on the other side of the River Severn. And the story goes that the Romans came along, climbed up the hill where the hill fort was, and killed all the Cantaviloni, whatever they are, and whichever one it is, one of the ancient tribes. I forget it all now. You know, I can't remember a bloody thing. Anyway, they punched. There was a big punch up, and this Caractacus, whatever his other name is, he hid in a cave. And he's supposed to have hidden in this cave, and there is a bit of a cave up there. I've been in it, made a video, you know what it is. And then they took him back to Rome, and he sold out, basically. But they reckon, so some people reckon it was there on that hill. But 30 miles to the south is another hill, and I went up there, was going to make a video, one of the Bald Explorers, about this whole thing, and did write a script and got permission to film on the other hill, 30 miles to the south in South Shropshire, where there's another hill fort. And I think it was there because you get line of sight. You can see the other Cair Caradoc, the one up near the Lawley, not a stone's throw from Wroxeter. And I think that was a lookout post for the main site and that the Romans came along. That's my theory on it, but I could be wrong. F1 is in Mexico City, says Sean O'Brien, apropos of who knows what. Seabird says Yorkshire for me would be the best. Old-fashioned pubs, steam trains, great walks and best fish and chips in Whitby, and they do great roast dinners there with proper Yorkshire pudding. That sounds absolutely fantastic. I don't know Yorkshire very well, so I can't really say if I would want to go there. Mr. Mocky says, it sounds like Sir Richard of Vobes is getting his worms in a muddle. Yes, certainly I'm getting all my worms in a muddle. Yorkshire for me, says Seabird, continuing, says that they have the best old-fashioned... I've read all that. He's just put it twice to make sure I said it. Meanwhile, Colonel Cragratty says, glad to see the van kitchen unit cleverly came out okay, so that you could fit in the sofa. Brilliant design, Colonel Cragratty. I am indebted to you. And in fact, there was something else. I was going to bring the van down to do a bit of kitting out. I can't remember what it was. Oh, I was thinking of removing the bulkhead in the van and instead of the bulkhead, putting a partition with a sliding door. So the bit behind the driver would be permanently fixed so that in an accident, anything flying at the back of the van would not hit the driver, but would hit the passenger. No, wouldn't hit the passenger because you'd have a sliding door. But the sliding door would go across from the passenger's side to the driver's side. A bit like the sliding doors I've got in the box units under the bed that I use, or the bench that I sit on, you know. But you'd want it so it locks in position and you'd want it so it didn't rattle. The idea for having it is it would be flat and black on the driving cab side, so it still looked like a bulkhead, but it would open up so you could let light in if necessary, and if at some future date I ever put a captain seat in that would swivel round, you could do that and have a bit more space. So that was the notion there, and I thought, I know a man who might be able to help me fix that. So there. Elaine Whitlock says, that's great to hear, Daniel. Michael White says the police wrote a song about Sue Lawley. Did they? Surely not Sue Lawley. Bonist says, I love a cave, but tricky to find one with central heating or double glazing. You don't need double glazing or central heating when you're in a cave. The whole point of a cave is that it's a cave. Otherwise, it's not a cave, is it? Elfwold says, I went to Whitby on Monday. Loads of goths about. Oh, I thought that was going to be one of those things where I went to Whitby on Monday. I went to Basingstoke on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I was in Carlisle. On Thursday, I was in Cardiff. And on Friday, I was down in Bournemouth. I thought that was something like that, but it wasn't, obviously. Crail for joy. Oh, Crail. Is it cry for joy? Is that cry? But with letters that, you know, instead of CRY for joy, which JOY, which would make it very easy to read, if you just, you know, made it more tricky so people on a live show, I'm sure you turn up on every live show and people are going, is it crail, cry, creak, or maybe other people are more intelligent than me. Probably that's what it is. Probably they work it out like that, whereas I'm the idiot who can't work it out. But anyway, maybe that's what it is. I'm Bigus Dickus or Spartacus. Probably the last one. Yeah, I'm probably Bigus Dickus, to be honest with you. Ray of Hope says, the best fish and chips I've ever had was in Yorkshire. Brian's in Leeds. Nice. That's very good. What else have we got here? Station Master, blah, blah, blah. Seabird says, I'm going to be 50 on Tuesday. Does that make me officially old? And when do your viewers think you become old? I did a video about that, actually, funnily enough. Are you not as old as you think you are? Or you're as old as you think you are? Well, congratulations for Tuesday in advance. 50 is just a number, like everything else. The only thing is, you do notice your face, don't you? And you notice the funny bit under your chin and your hands and all of that. But you're only really, I think, as old as you want to be, basically. I mean, you're the age, when you get older, Let me tell you this. When you get into your 80s, it's bloody useful, isn't it? I mean, my mum used to use the old, I'm an old lady. I'm 82, you know. She would use that. They use it. They use the age, don't they? When you're 21 and you want to get to the front of the queue or you want to sit down, you can't go, I'm 21, let me sit down. No, it's no good, is it? No, but when you're 82, you go, I'm 82 or 95. You're as old. How old is the Queen? 95? I'm not. My husband, who's not with me today, and I, 95. Please let me sit. So they use it as a bit of an excuse. You think, well, wait a minute, you've been standing all your life. You must have got used to it now. You must know how it works. You practiced it enough. Jezza, 1823, he's been around a bit. I wonder how old you are. It says, Ray of Hope, they're the best. They have changed hands now. What, the fish and chips? I'm sure they have. I'm sure they've changed stomachs as well. Julia says, life will be starting for me soon. The little big 4-0 is coming up there. Well, Julia, it will start. Your life definitely needs starting. And I know a bloke who might be able to help you out. Start that life up with a big smile. First of all, just got to get rid of the kids. They get under your feet, don't they? No disrespect, of course. Tall Podge Rod says, I'm 54 and I don't feel old. Marvellous. Elaine Whitlock says, happy birthday to Seaboard. And Elfwold says, I can do that when I went to Whitby on Monday, the Peak District on Tuesday, Calderdale on Wednesday, Lake District on Thursday, Ilkley today. I'm going to chill on Sunday. Well, you probably will. Temperatures are dropping. I don't know if you've noticed that. It's supposed to be global warming, but the temperatures are dropping all over the place. Jonah Jones says, I'm 44, hated the big 4 over, but was over it the next day. As long, it's all in the mind. Yes, 40, blimey, 40 seems incredibly young to me now. Cry for Joy says, bed meds coming in the future. We will all be young again, apart from those who are partly deceased. Totally deceased, I suppose, which is good. What else have we got there? Colonel Crag Race says, I'm 73, but I think I'm 7 and a bit. Yes, there we go. That's the best way to do it. It's 22:09. We're going to take a short break because Andrew Murphy has gone to blow up the Fawley Power Station. So let's find out what he's been up to and how he's doing. Hang on a minute. I've lost the... Where's the thing that does the what's it? Yeah, that's interesting. There's the thing that did the what's it. So it's time now, ladies and gentlemen, for our moment of Murphy.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another Moment of Murphy with me, Andrew Murphy. Today it is Saturday the 30th of October 2021 and I'm along the Titchfield Canal between Titchfield to the north and Hillhead to the south. I just had to clamber across this fence using that little shoring up wooden thing to cross over here where the river, I think it's the most of the Titchfield Canal, has burst its banks. You down because on my walk today, it's the last day you'll be ever able to see the main chimney stack of Fawley Power Station as of 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, when Greenwich Mean Time takes into effect overnight, as it's fall back in the clocks. It will be no more. So I'm taking one nostalgic trip down to the seashore at Hillhead, and I'm going to take a look over the view. So let's get on with it. I've now arrived down along the seashore where the coast meets the land. You've now got a view over towards the old stack of the Fawley Power Station, which is due to be demolished in around 14 hours time. So I'm now going to take a look over one last time of it before it's gone for good. video here. I would just like to thank you all for your company today. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, bye for now.
And that's our moment of Murphy. Thank you so much, Andrew Murphy there, ready to get the old explosives and blow up the Fawley chimney. I wonder if Fred Dibner ever went up that one. I need to get some new, it's up the old chimney, a chimney brush. I keep chucking up children, but they never come down, which is a shame. Chickens and roosters, they're quite useful, or even a turkey. I've probably got a turkey from last year still up there, so I might have that this year. But yeah, I do need to get some nice brushes to send up my chimney. I wonder how many feet it would take to go up the Fawley... well, probably no feet at all now, because apparently it's come down. Anyway, there we are. That was Andrew Murphy. Thanks for sharing us a little bit of Titchfield. The lovely Julia knows that area very, very well, because she was a young kiddie winkle from that area. Crikey, she says... that was... oh, no, she's talking about something else. There we are. Fantastic. Andy Murphy there. Don't forget, if you want to send in a video, you are very welcome to send one in. Send them to me via the service of WeTransfer. They're a service that will take your files, you upload to their server, they send me an email, I download it at my convenience, usually about 10 minutes before the show goes out. My email address, of course, is richard@vobes.com, which is very easy to remember. And if you've forgotten it, send me an email and I'll remind you what it is. Now, I've got some other subjects on the go here to see if you'd be interested in any of them. Apparently, all over the country, people are burning effigies this evening of political characters. I wondered if you were at a bonfire tonight and you had a guy and you wanted to burn an effigy, who would it be? Who would be the effigy that you would burn? Let me tell you some of these. We've got effigies of Boris Johnson's being burnt. There's also the ex-health minister, what's his name, who was found in the clutches of the other woman in his office, whatever his name was. I can't remember his name now off the top of my... It's always typical. What was his name? The health secretary, who's the smooth-faced, smooth-talking, slightly dead-eyed man. You know who I'm talking about. Who then got a job, but I think that job never happened. Michael White says Boris and Tony Blair. I would agree. I think they would. Yeah, Matt Hancock. That's the one. Thank you very much, Rachel. Richard, I used to sleep up chimneys, says Lord Jeffrey, in the bombed-out houses in London. Yes, I think you did tell us that before once when you showed us the clip of Tower Bridge with all the kids down at the bottom of Tower Bridge. That was amazing. Who would you make into an effigy if you could? Don't say Richard Vobes. That's not very nice. Who would you put as an effigy if you had to burn them? Is there something? Would you have the Doom Goblin as one of them? Would that be going too far? Tracy Murphy says that made me smile. Thank you, son, which is great. Well done. Rami Boo says, Julia, I'll be your pink cat lady across the pond. I'm already being called a cat lady. I don't know what that means, but there you go. Emily Champion is in the house. Nice to see you, Emily. Well, I can't see you, but it's nice to know that you're there. And Willow Finn VT, happy early 40th birthday, Julia. It'll be a purple cat lady. I'll be a purple cat lady too. Yeah, why not? I'll probably have to dress in purple myself. What day of I think it's a Monday, isn't it? The 20th. But I said to Julia she better have the day off. So she might have to do a belated birthday or an early birthday. Who knows? Klaus Schwab. I mean, if ever you wanted an arch-villain's name, there is an arch-villain's name, isn't it? Neil Ferguson, that would be a fantastic one. Yes, Elfwald, I think you're absolutely right. And Bill Gates. Yeah. Mind you, if it wasn't for Bill Gates, this show probably wouldn't be here because it is all on those Windows machines, as he's probably monitoring the show as we do it. Who knows? His foundation has never helped out the Vobe show, though, so there you go. But Neil Ferguson would be definitely one that I would put on my bonfire, for sure. Dave Flute. Hello, Dave. Definitely Boris, Hancock, Trump at all. Interesting choices there. And Colonel Cragratty says you could cut a hole in the van bulkhead and make it into a drop-down door or a sliding window. I could do that, actually. It's just that I like the idea of a sliding window and then the potential to have a seat that turned, because I could sit there with a cat and, I could do the old Bond villain. Not that the Bond villains these days do anything. In the Daniel Craig reign of the Bond villains, they didn't do anything. But the old ones where they go, "So, Mr. Bond," with this. I watched The World Is Not Enough the other day with Piers Brosnan. And actually, I thought, do you know what? I'd been watching the Daniel Craig ones, which I'd liked the very first one, and then they all started to go a bit downhill. I liked the sort of more modern, gritty version. But the Piers Brosnan ones I thought were actually quite good. He was much more suave and sophisticated, and there was a certain cheekiness, and because they used all the proper Bond music and all of that, and it wasn't personal. The last Bond movie I thought was a shame. Brilliant effects, great car chases, marvellous cinematography, and all of that. But the overall story was a complete and utter mess. I mean, it was so stupid. And the bloke who's supposed to be the arch enemy is only in about 5 shots in the whole thing, one of those of which is behind a mask. And you don't even get the feel that he is much of an enemy. At least in the old Bond things, you felt that the enemy had a purpose and a reason that had some logic, even if it was a bit far-fetched. Whereas this was just like, everyone gets killed, bit of a spoiler. Everybody, apart from Moneypenny, it seems. It just seemed like we're just going to kill everybody off, because that's killing people off, including your hero, because you can't think of another clever way out of it, is such an old, knackered, cliche way of doing things, in my humble opinion, that really and truly, I would think that they could do a little bit better. But it seemed that, they couldn't. Cry for Joy says, in the UK edition of the Axtris book called Asterix, Asterix and the Chariot Race, the bad guy in the book is called Coronavirus. The book came out in 2017. Bit of a predictive program. Yeah, that. But then you've got to remember the coronavirus has been around for a long time. I watched a video with a chap who worked... he's now retired, but he used to work at the patent office in the US. You know what a patent is, when you come up with a new idea for something and you patent it to stop copyright. And there is a whole department for medical patents. Well, he'd gone back into the archive and found that there was an antidote, or shall we call it a vaccine, for a coronavirus that is the cause to... The one that we've got, what we've called coronavirus 19, what's it called? COVID-19. They're back in something like 1984, patented back then, is the solution. I'm not making this up. And it's you can look up the documents online. There is an antidote to a coronavirus that has yet to be invented or discovered, which we have just or are living through. Now, what does that tell you? Make of that what you will, but it did seem very strange that the antidote for it, or vaccine, or whatever you want to call it, was known about before the virus came around, because it is in the patent office for everyone to see. Station Master's Choice. Oh, he's talking to somebody else. Bonfire of Vanities. I don't know what that is. Those Taliban leaders, says Anna Jones. Is that the Taliban leaders you'd put on the bonfire? The man who invented sandwich spread, said Lord Geoffrey Harrison. Yeah, sandwich spread is an evil thing, isn't it? Not. Mark Burgess says, just check Street View. The older images shows the tree behind the laurel bush. Okay, I'm glad that, but we still don't know what it is. Any terrorist like Guy Fawkes, says Bonnie H, to put on the bonfire. Okay, that's not terribly imaginative, but, any terrorist will do. Perhaps the one that killed that recent MP, what's his name, Amiss? What's his name? Sir David Amiss? Amos? There we are, I knew it. He would just stick him on there definitely, and not necessarily a an effigy. Mark Burgess says, "Oh, here we go. I've got numbers now. TN29 OHF NO 48. What does that mean? If you want to see, you can view an older photo. It's code, secret code. It's not so secret if you put it on here. You know, it might explode." Bonnie says, "I've now seen 007 3 times. Well, I've seen all the films, so I've seen them more than 3. Cry for Help says, "I know it's been around for ages." What's he talking about? It's been, I can't remember what you were talking about. It's been around. Michael White says, "Read Boris's book, The Dream of Rome, and you'll see where we're all going." Oh, right. I did read his Churchill book, where he had a thing about Churchill, which was interesting. And Bonnie says, "Bonfire Night is a civil protest against terrorism." Well, it may have been originally, but I don't think that's what it is these days. Grid reference, says Mr. Mocky. Thank you very much, grid reference. I don't know what to do with the grid reference. Can I put that into Google Street View, or do I put it on an OS map, or where do I? Oh, maybe you said Street View. Maybe you did. Maybe I've got that all wrong. It's 5 to 9, ladies and gentlemen. 5 to 9. Here, apparently, here's another interesting item that I always thought, if we get stuck for a conversation, which obviously we haven't. Why are we living in the age of protest? The number of protest movements around the world has tripled in the last 15 years, with most rallying against failed political systems. Is that really true? Schools out for Greta. Did you see that? Schools out for Greta. Thousands of children bunk off to join Thunberg, or Thunberg, or however you pronounce her weird name, at the Glasgow Youth Strike climate protest. All the kids are doing this. They've all been brainwashed into believing the end of the world is coming. We've frightened them all, which I think is a terrible, terrible thing, because children will wonder, if they haven't got a future, what's the point of learning anything? They may as well just live for the moment. Well, you get to, get into your mid-50s, then you can live for the moment. In the meantime, you need to get an education so you can put bricks and mortar in the system. Why is it we always get a phone call when the show is about to end? Let's find out who's on the call. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Fred. It's Terry Banton.
Terry Banton, the man who's saving the show. The only this is like a call-in show, isn't it? And you and maybe Sean James Cameron and a couple of others. The only people who lift up the phone and call in. It's very, very disheartening, but it's enheartening, if that's the right word, to have you on the show. So it's all yours.
Right. Yeah. Burning effigies. I can, apart from Guy Fawkes, and I think there are a lot of the effigies of Guy Fawkes are probably being burnt tonight, but who knows?
Well, who would you put on?
One of those leaders that turned up in their cavalcades in Glasgow. I mean, Joe Biden comes to...
85 cars. 85 cars he had to have to travel about. I mean, my dad, used a Zimmer frame when he was the same sort of age, but he's got 85 cars. Yeah, he can't drive them all, can he? I mean, I don't think he could probably drive at that age, and he wouldn't know his left and right if he saw it. But 85 cars.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, and they all have to be transported by, not obviously. The president travels on Air Force One, but the rest of them come in all these Air
Force Two.
These C, whatever they call them, these big-bellied aircraft with 4 props, I think, and they use them in military use, don't they?
Yes.
Transporting troops out to the Middle East, and then
we could have rented them. I mean, we do have rent companies here. I think Enterprise is one. Is it Enterprise or something like that? An English, a typical. Well, they're in Scottish. There must be a Scottish company. Maybe Haggis Cars. Could have rented them. Maybe they couldn't got to. Oh, maybe their taxi service would have done it. I assume the taxi men would have. Where you going, Spot? I can take you to Glasgow. Oh, yeah, no problem. What's your name now? Biden. Okay. He could have. That's a terrible Scottish accent. I probably offended all the Scots people watching, but I do enjoy your products over in Scotland.
Yes. Another leader that comes to mind is President Macron.
Oh, yes, macaron.
Yeah,
I used to
yes.
like macaroni cheese, macaron cheese, but I'm not so keen on him with his threats to Jersey, cutting off the power supply and unravelling their jumpers. That's not so nice.
Yeah, rather than seizing rubber dinghies, just off the French coast, he seems to like to seize our fishermen occasionally from Scotland.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. If he was to seize those rubber dinghies and put the fishermen in it, we should have done a deal. We should have said, look, take the dinghies off, and then your fishermen can go wherever they like in those rubber dinghies, because they wouldn't be able to catch very much in a rubber dinghy. Let's face it, a couple of fish, couple of tuna, or whatever it is that you get off the coast of Cornwall. And I'm sure they would have leapt at it.
Yes. Did you as a child ever go crabbing, down at Littlehampton, harbour?
Well,
casting your thing into the water there in the River Arun?
Casting my what in the water?
Well, that sounds painful. No, you're dropping your hook.
Yes, I have dropped my hook a few places, I can tell you, and often those crabs have followed suit. But let's not go down that murky path. But yeah, have I done it when I was a child? Yeah, I remember going to places like Wales where they had rock pools and things, which is much nicer to go crabbing than the pebbly beaches in Worthing and Littlehampton. And I guess I can't think where the nearest sort of rockery. Well, Dorset, I suppose.
Yes, off the Jurassic coast. Then
Yes.
you might come across a dinosaur. You don't know.
Well,
really,
a stegosaurus suddenly poking his head out at you, going, "What are you?" Sorry, mate. I was just looking for crabs. Yeah, that could be quite funny.
I think at Lewis they have these big parades. I don't know whether it's tonight or last weekend.
Oh,
the one
definitely,
in Lewis
yeah,
where they have these huge parades, don't they?
That they shut the 275. I know that because I was on the 275 this morning, heading up to somewhere to meet up with Ringer Ollie, who, when I first started interviewing him, he was 15. He's now nearly 18. He's going to have 18th birthday soon. Probably going to have a ring of bells on his 18th birthday. Anyway, so I was driving up to him, and he's over that way in East Sussex somewhere, and Horsted Keynes, I think it is. And as I was driving, there were all these yellow signs outside Lewis, because I drove past Lewis, and it said they'll be closed from 5:45 or 4:45. And so you weren't allowed on those roads because of the fireworks stuff. So yeah, then over now, tonight and probably tomorrow will be just one great big firework night.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago they had an effigy of Tony Blair, and it was well publicised on the local TV network, I think.
Yeah, well, mass murderers, I think, should be burnt.
Yeah, well, the obvious candidate is Boris, but he's probably jetted off somewhere now. So.
Oh, well, that's right. He's too busy warming the planet up during. I'm just warming up the planet during the winters with my private jet. What? That's probably what he's thinking. I mean, it is the hypocrisy of these. But you see, the thing is, I just think they don't even notice. They don't think we notice. Rather, I think they go on this. They must see that what they do. Surely, I mean, you'd think there'd be somebody on the government who's employed by the government, somebody earthy like a taxi driver, who would say, "I don't know that driving in your private jet just sets the right message. It just looks a bit naff. You could at least get the first class ticket, yeah, fair enough, on a train or first class on an aeroplane, especially after COP26. You just think they would all just look for the next week like they were trying to do what they said, do everything you can to save the planet, and then they just jump. And you just think, well, what's the point? If they can't be asked to, then I can't be. So much so I've ordered 25 tons of coal, and I'm going to burn as much coal and put as much CO2 back into the atmosphere as I possibly can, because they didn't seem to care.
Yeah. Did President Macron travel by Eurostar from Paris, do you think, to Glasgow?
I doubt it very much. Yeah, I mean, I would like to know what the carbon damage was from the private jet that Boris took, and then everybody should know that whatever that is, whatever the carbon footprint of that is, that should be, because it's probably quite large, that could be everybody's ration a day.
Yes, that's it's a
So
lot of
whatever,
blah
you know,
blah.
if it's 500, yeah, it's a lot of blah, 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 isn't it? What do you make of Greta? Are you a Greta fan? Or do you regret her ever knowing of her?
Well, they by the looks of things, they didn't allow her inside the conference centre, did they? She had to stand outside with her mates.
Well, she wasn't invited, was she? She wasn't invited.
No, there's been too much blah 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 from her, I expect.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean, that's the weird thing. She, you know, she must have pissed them off a bit because she did that speech in wherever it was, France or at the other place, and she was going, "Oh, all we've heard from the world leaders is blah blah blah." Well, that's not the way to ingratiate the world leaders to say, "Oh, okay, Greta, come back in. We'll listen to you." They must be thinking, "Well, hang on a minute. There's this little girl. We've listened to her. We've taken her point of view, and now she's basically spitting in our faces, and then she's singing in the streets outside. You can take your climate crisis and stick it up your you know where." And you just think, well, you know, she was obviously a bit of a con trick, really.
Yeah, I think she's probably past her sell by date. I think she's made her point, you know, for several years now. But I suppose you'll keep doing her after dinner speeches.
Oh yeah, she doesn't need to go to school. She's earned her money, all right. And you know, the parents were very quick to think, how can we make some money out of this girl? What, she's got some condition, isn't it? Not cerebral palsy, but she's got some weird mental thing, or a condition of on some I can't remember what it is, but she's on it. And the parents clearly thought, well, we're going to make money out of this. Instead of being a victim, we're going to make her this. And now she's in it. They may live to regret that, because she's may live to regret that. She's on the street swearing and blinding, and you know, she's now just turned into an ordinary teenager. So there we go. Rachel wants to know how she got to Glasgow. Did she go on? Did she row herself on an old piece of balsa wood, like what she's done in the past, or did she actually get on something that had electricity, gas, or diesel coming out of it?
I think she may have caught a lift on one of those rubber dinghies out of.
Yeah, that's true. She made her way to France and blagged her way. But the rubber dinghy, that's rubber. That's been made out of oil. That was dug out of the ground. I think you'll find that's a fossil fuel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did it come from a rubber plant? It's different if it came from a rubber plant, but then that meant chopping a tree down.
Yes, I doubt it. But the thing is, I understand these big rigids, as they're called, being manufactured in Turkey. So
I've got big ridges on my stomach, you know, 8-pack I call it, manufactured in Worthing.
I'll tell you, I did write on a piece of paper. I mean, this might be a topic for another evening, another show of yours, and the title is Mannerisms.
Mannerisms.
We all mannerisms in the human body language. We all do things sometimes subconsciously, don't we?
I'm writing it down. Mannerisms. It's a good subject.
Yes,
so
we'll leave that for another.
Well, let's just hint at it. What would you say your mannerisms are, or can you not notice your own? You only notice them in other people. Do you have any particular mannerisms, or what would you say my mannerisms are, apart from interrupting all the time?
Looking up at the ceiling and shouting Eric.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
Or looking down. Yeah, we all have our Erics. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I have this unfortunate habit of raising my eyebrows when somebody says something. I don't necessarily agree with it.
I think that's a natural thing, isn't it? That's where he raised his eyebrows comes from, surely.
Yeah, I guess it is, yes. But, and nervous laughs is another one. Sometimes people listen to somebody else. They may be quite friendly with a person making a statement.
Yes.
And they just sort of, their response is a nervous laugh because they're not sure whether to disagree or agree.
Yes, it's funny. Laughter is a funny thing, isn't it? Because we all do this sort of pretend laugh. We're so practiced at it, we don't even know we're doing it. And that's a good mannerism. That's very good. I think we will pick up that subject. I've made it a thing. So thank you very much for that.
Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Stuff.
I also say tut tut when I get stuck in a traffic jam.
Do you out loud? Tut tut.
Yeah, I was once transporting somebody to my place of work. I gave one of my colleagues a lift. This was up from Hertfordshire going into North London. And we got stuck on some road coming into London, heavy traffic. And she said afterwards, when I got there, she said, do you normally go tut-tut every time you stop in a traffic jam? And I didn't realise I was doing it.
So
at the time.
Do you actually say the words tut-tut, or do you do the
No. Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Isn't it funny? Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. Thank you for that, Terry. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'll say good night to you.
Yeah. Good night. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the fireworks.
It's good night from you and good night from me.
Well, good night. There we are.
Good night.
Take
You're
care.
welcome.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
That's Terry Banton there from Southwater, tut-tutting as he stops off at in a traffic jam. Now, Rachel said, I just noticed this, and I didn't want to lose this. She says somewhere, what's that? What is it that... she says something in the comments, and I'm scanning away. Vessel, something about a vessel. Did you say, what is that vessel? I don't know. What vessel are you talking about? What are you on about? What's that vessel you have, Richard? Rachel, can you please give me a bit more detail? I don't know what vessel you mean. Do you mean this mug? This mug I've been drinking from, or what? What? See, you put me... I don't know what you're talking about. Predictive programming... says Michael White. I'm not quite sure what that. Brainwash Chris says Johnson flew back to London to have dinner with his Telegraph mates at the Garrick. Yes, apparently pheasant and something else was on the menu, so I heard. But you know, I don't mind that he went back to have dinner with somebody, but in a private jet, I think was a bit too much. I mean, you know. I don't care that he goes and has with his I don't know what you mean by Telegraph. Is that the Telegraph, the newspaper? But that's okay, isn't it? It's all right to have. I don't care if you want to spend the money at posh restaurants, but it's just the fact that he, instead of leaving and going, as you've told everybody else, do as I do. It's do as I say, but not what I do. One rule for them, one rule for somebody else. Edward Moulding reminds us that rubber trees are productive for about 25 years. I wonder if they probably are all right, aren't they, in the wind, rubber trees? They just, bend and flop back again. Christian Soldier, hello to you, says she got to Scotland in a coracle. Ah, good old, yes, that's... like the Danes, isn't it? I'm surprised you didn't come in one of those long ships. Not a narrow boat, but one of those long Viking ships. That's what she should have done. John B., hello to you. You've been missed, mate. Everyone was worried sick that something had happened to you. So it's nice to see you there. Even Roger Moore, he says, raised an eyebrow from time to time. Well, that became his stock in trade, doesn't it? What else have we got there? Even Roger Moore done that. Thanks for calling. Terry, says the lovely Julia. Thank you, Julia. Just to remind you, I think Judith has got the night off. Julia is working extra hard, so please give Julia a big pat on the back. She's had a hard day, I know, looking after a poorly little boy who's not been very well. So I hope he's still asleep and that you get a good night's sleep. She's off to do some singing tomorrow with the Northern Lights, or whatever they're called. Farmer Piles for Prime Minister set. That's for... Hello there, Farmer Piles here. Hello. The Northern Light. The Northern Light. Hello. Farmer Piles. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, but I can also hear the stream. Can you turn the stream on the laptop or telly or whatever it is, so I can hear you on the...
Oh, yeah, sorry, Richard.
That's all right.
There's a bit of a delay here.
Yes. No, there will be a delay between what you and I talking now and then what goes out, because it has to go through the Clockwork Orange mechanism. Whatever that is.
So
who's calling?
So this is an old friend of yours that we never met. This is Nick. I used to run the British Pages website years ago.
Oh, my giddy aunt. Nick, how the devil are you?
Good, yeah. I'm calling you from Oregon in America. I live out in Oregon now. I moved up here from California.
You've moved around, haven't you? Because we've had conversations online and stuff, and you went through some bad illness, if I remember rightly. Yes,
that was 5 years ago, maybe now.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty life changing, but you sound all right.
Yeah, I bounced back.
Brilliant.
I think it was just that. I think I was having a midlife crisis, probably.
Oh, right, okay. So, well, it's very nice to hear you on the show. And I'm still doing the same old crap, interesting stuff that I used to do many years ago. Nothing's changed.
Yeah. I listen to you. I go to work, and my commute is about 20 minutes. in the mornings, and I listen to the New Dude every.
Oh yeah.
Listen to the New Dude every morning on my way to work while I have my coffee. So I still listen to you.
Blimey.
And watch a lot of your shows.
So just when did you start listening? When did you first discover the nonsense that is the Vobes?
I think actually I remember. Christ, I moved back to England for a year with my ex-wife, and that would have been in. I remember you was doing your podcast in about 2007.
Yeah.
And I remember I found you back then, and that's when I started listening to you.
Yeah, I started the podcast in 2005, and then I started the Naked Englishman or the Nude Dude in 2006. And so you'd come and sort of like 1 or 2 years into the learning curve that was this, and here we are live beaming to the world. Although I was supposedly podcasting to the world back then, doing the same old rubbish. But it's lovely to hear your voice, and of course we've never really spoken before.
I know. I just like one thing and the other, and I've been busy and stuff. But I'm actually working from home today, and I've got the TV on, and I've got you playing in the background. And I saw the number on. I thought, I'm going to give them a quick call because we never spoke. But I was thinking about you in England because I'm actually coming back to visit on Thursday next week. I've got to come back for 10 days.
Oh, right.
10-day visit. My dad is unfortunately declining, so I need to get back and see him, and I've been online today trying to get through all the hoops to get over there because I have to fly to Canada, change planes, get to London, and then I've just booked. I have to get this COVID test within the first 2 days of being in England. I have to go and get that done, so I have to get that sorted out today. But it's all a bit confusing right now online.
Are you jabbed and all of that?
Yeah, I got Moderna. I got double vaccinated, and I got my vaccination card, so that's okay getting on the plane. It's just that you have to report to the UK government when you arrive how long you're going to be here for, and you have to give them you have to get a test done in the first 2 days of being in the UK. So
you still have to, even though you've been double jabbed, you still have to have a test when you get to the airport.
Yeah. Well, once you get, my brother's going to pick me up, and my brother's in Leatherhead in Surrey, so I'll go home with him. But then I think on the Sunday I have to go into Dorking and go and get a test done, and that's it. And hopefully, if it's negative, then I'll just carry on with my trip. And if it's positive, I'm sure they'll have to tell me that I'm positive, and I'll have to quarantine probably. So.
Well, I hope not. I hope they don't give you 10 days if you're only 10 days in the UK. It would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Sitting in a hotel room, and then your dad will have to visit you, and it's not very well, and you're peering through the window. The reverse of what rubbish we were doing a year or so ago. But that's it's absolutely barking. But it's lovely that you're coming back to good old Blight. When did you leave Blighty for the pastures overseas?
I left end of 2003, got married January 2004 in California, and lived there up until a couple of years ago. And then I got divorced, and I was getting a bit, California's great, but it's expensive. And then I got evacuated 3 times in consecutive years from wildfires, and I think I was just sort of like, why am I living in a really expensive place that's burning all the time? So I thought I want to go somewhere else. So I looked at Oregon as somewhere else for fun, and I just thought, okay, I just packed my bags and took my dog, and we drove up north and plonked ourselves in Oregon. So,
and do you like it there?
Yeah, the weather is it's actually on the same sort of, is it latitude or longitude? I forget now, but it's on the same as England really. So everything is a lot more greener up here near Portland. It's a lot more greener. The weather's very similar to England. There's more rain and more green, and the summers are great, and it's not as hot as it is in California, and there's less people. And one of the benefits, the stupid benefits of living in Oregon, which I find totally bonkers, is that you're not allowed to pump your own petrol here, and so that you have to have someone do it for you.
Oh, right. How bizarre! I mean, that's very old-fashioned. I mean, as you know, we used to have that, and now they've taken that. We have to. It's all self-service. Everything is self-service. The old days. I'm just looking at a map of Portland.
I see your map. It says Tigard. You see where it says Tigard?
Oh yes.
Yes, that's where I live, in Tigard.
And there's a delay. There's a delay for that. You'll find me finding it, but I'll find it in a second. I'm just zooming in as we speak now, and then it will come in. Oh right, so that's where you are. Let's have a quick look on the satellite, see how green it all is. Oh my goodness, look at that. There's a lot of grids and things.
It's quite built up area, but I mean, I'm about an hour, just over an hour from the ocean, and there's a mountain to go skiing, and there's a lot of like waterfalls and lakes and rivers. But it's pretty good, really.
And do you miss?
I don't recommend. The city of Portland itself is quite run down, and I avoid it at all costs. Yeah, the homicide rate has gone up 82% in the last year. There was 19 shootings last weekend, so I completely avoid going into the city.
Don't blame you. I think I would. Do you miss Blighty?
I do at times. I still, I think that's the blight of the expat living abroad. There's always things that you miss, family or humour and food and stuff. So as sad as it is that I've got under the circumstances, I've got to come back and see my dad on the decline. I'm also excited to go to places like Greg's and get a nice top or something like. Yeah. Oh, I love that. And a pork pie and mustard, lovely.
So those are the things you've missed. If you couldn't get back to the US after your flight and you were stuck there, what would you miss from America? You miss Greg's and you look forward to that in England, but what would you miss from America then, if you were stuck?
Probably my number one thing would be my dog.
Yes, but I suppose I'm talking more in terms of lifestyle or in the way that you're looking forward to Greg's and. A British pub or something like that. Is there? What would you What would you insist on bringing apart from your dog? If we could jaunt it to you.
It's so I don't know. It's weird because I've been here so long now that I'm so used to things as they are.
Does everything work? Does everything like the road systems? Does everything just work? And if something breaks down, do people come and fix it quite quickly? Is it not tedious? Whereas over here, you never quite know. Something works, and you ring up for someone to do something, and they say, "Oh yeah, I'll be round on Tuesday," and you don't hear from them. You've got to chase them up, and then eventually, they'll come and they'll only do half the job, and then they've got another job, and it's sunny, so we better go and do that job. And we'll come back to you when it's raining, and then it doesn't. You know what it's like in England. Everything's all sort of half done.
One of the things I probably would miss from here is, and I don't know if they don't really have it in the UK now, or maybe they do and I forgot. But like when I want to go and get my car, I've got. It's funny. I've been watching you. I've got a van myself that I've converted. I did a van conversion last year, but anyway, when I want to go and get that. The oil changed. You can just drive to an oil stop place, drive in, they give you free coffee or tea or a soda, you got free Wi-Fi, and you sit in your vehicle and they just change your oil while you sit there, and it takes 15, 20 minutes, and then you drive off. So you don't have to book ahead and drop your car off and all the inconvenience of leaving there. So I like that.
So the service is smooth and well thought out, whereas We pretend that we have good service here, but I don't think anybody really knows what service is in this day. I mean, we had service. Station Master's Choice, who's one of our regulars here, who works in a heritage railway, will know about service, because back in the day when trains ran on time and people dressed up in proper uniforms and they had whistles and proper flags, and the policemen who used to walk the beat actually were there to protect you, and you could ask them and were quite approachable. Back in those days we had some form of service, but it seems that now service is just a word that we apparently are supposed to have, but you rarely see it.
Well, it's funny because I do notice that difference when I visit the UK now. 'Cause it's something that wasn't apparent to me when I was growing up in England, because it was just life was normal. But my mum used to come out here. I would take her shopping, or we'd go to the restaurant, out for dinner or something. And she was always like, "Oh, I just love the people out here. They're so friendly, and the customer service is great." And not to take the shine off it, I would say to her, "Well, but Mum, there's a reason that they do that as well. It's nice to be nice to people." I said, "But there's an incentive there. They want you to give them a tip, where in England you don't typically, tipping's not a big thing there really. So it's their incentive to be nice and focused on customer service there, because they're looking for a big tip at the end of it." So I don't know. I'm a bit like, my mum would be like, "Oh, well, why can't you just see the nice thing in that?" I said, "Yeah, but I'm a bit more pessimistic. I sort of need to understand why people are being the way they are, I guess."
Yeah, well, you're a Brit, ultimately.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so nice to hear from you. I'm going to have to close off the call, unfortunately, because we're coming to the end of the show. But I'm glad that you're still there and watching, and I'm glad that health issues didn't. We lost touch. The thing is, I get a lot of people watch the show over the years, and they come and go, and I can't keep track of everybody because I'm sort of the host, and if you try to keep track of everybody, it's a nightmare. But suddenly, out of the blue, people come back and say, I used to watch you. And it's so nice. It's so nice to know that you're still there and that you're doing well. And what's your dog? Tell us about your dog before you go.
Oh, Mackie, he's a love of my life. He's 16 years old now. He's an old dog, but he's still he's a mini Aussie Sheltie mix, and I rescued him when he was 2, I think. But I joked to my brother. I said to him, I came to America for true love, but in my wildest dreams, I never knew it would end up being my dog, because he's been with me the longest.
Yeah, isn't that strange? A dog can, it can outlast a romantic relationship, but you can have that relationship with a dog because they're always happy to see you.
Yeah, exactly.
You can buy them the same Christmas present every year, another ball, and they're just as excited that having this. Whereas you do that with a person, and you go, "Here, I've got you some socks," and they go, "Oh, bloody socks! I'm not interested in those." Oh, by the way, there's a picture just gone up on the screen. I've just noticed that Bonnie, I think she's gone now, but Bonnie was darning some socks. There we are. That's Bonnie's socks. Tried to get it in. Dogs are so friendly, aren't they? So well done, Nick. And it's been a joy to have a very short but nice reunion with you.
All right, my friend. I'll call you again some other time. We'll catch up again.
Yeah, brilliant. I look forward to it. You look after yourself. Thanks for calling in.
All right. Thanks, Richard.
Take care. Take care. Bye-bye. There we are. That is Nick from Origin, who used to run an outfit called British Pages. And I remember when I used to do the old Vobes show back in the day, when it was just an audio podcast, he would come in. He used to run this thing, and it was basically, as I remember it, a place for ex-Brits who were living in America to remind them of what's going on in back in Blighty. And it seemed to be quite successful, and I think he put my podcast on there, and people would listen from that, and he would share things and what have you. And it was fantastic. So there we go. Someone from the past, a blast from the past. We will hopefully, if I remember rightly, be talking about mannerisms. So think about that on Monday's show with the lovely Julia. Hopefully she'll be in. That's all for this show. Big thanks to Andy Murphy for the Moment of Murphy. We thoroughly enjoyed that. Thank you for Terry Banton and Nick for ringing in. It's lovely to have conversations with you. This is what I love about this show, is if people do ring in, we can just have a lovely conversation on 07934746790. It's great to have those conversations because it just raises something. It's brilliant to have you all out there typing away and contributing, of course, and I try to keep up with the comments, as you can see. But sometimes, you're all typing different messages, and a lot go past, and I can't always see them, and I apologise for that. I do my best. But there we go. So that's it. Anyway, look after yourselves. Have a good weekend. This was a firework-free show. Hope you appreciated that. Not too many whizzes, loud bangs, and wizard prangs. But it's the end of another week. A video coming out tomorrow for you. I'm handling a chainsaw in tomorrow's video. Tuesday, I will be with good old Ringer Ollie. And on Thursday, the video coming out, yet to be filmed, I will be with Dumpman, filming that over the weekend. So lots to look out for in the forthcoming week. Yes, good old Dumpman and the disused railways. Where's he going to take me? What's it going to be about? Can't tell you any more than that because it's a secret. Have a good weekend. Nice to talk to you. Take care. Look after yourselves. Thanks, Julia, for moderating tonight. And I will catch up with you all next week. Bye for now. Bye-bye.